Okay, like Jenny said, I was here last year, Corbett, Oregon. My brother got me into this today too. So, so anyway, but I'm happy to be here, and like I said, I'm from the Nez Perce tribe. My Indian name is Wapta. It means no wings, no feathers. And my mom was Irish and French. She looked just like you guys, you know. And her grandpa came from De Courcy, France. Benjamin De Courcy Penny was my grandpa. They left that De Courcy in their name. And my dad was full-blood Nez Perce. So I got his color, but my sister's got my mom's color. She always tries to tan. But other than that, I would just, my generation, I guess, I never really came down here. I was down here probably before the dam covered up the Salala Falls. I was pretty young then. I was born in '49. But my generation back home, I didn't have to come this way to catch salmon. It was plentiful. I grew up catching it right in my backyard, right there on the reservation that they gave us, But we got seeded areas where we can go as far as we can go, the Nez Perce tribe, because that's where our ancestors put it in our treaty, inconclusive. But anyway, I got to see the salmon disappear. It was kind of crazy. That's when those dams came up on the Snake River, and I was growing up, and we found out we're not catching them. They're disappearing on us, and it was pretty hard. And I was working in an ammunition factory in Lewiston, Idaho, and I seen that slack water coming, and I seen the fish disappearing and the sockeye almost gone, They had one sockeye coming up, pretty crazy. And I even seen them do let all the water out of all the dams, because where the bullet factory I worked at was right on the Snake River. And I seen that water go down and flushed everything out. And 4 or 5 years later, we had a pretty good run. But nobody seemed to realize that was the cause of it. We flushed the smokes out, that's what the problem is. They can't get down here, can't get back, So I grew up, and then she's talking about the salmon wars, and we had them up there in Idaho with the state of Idaho. They had SWAT teams on us and everything. But we stood our ground and fought for our treaty rights. Then eventually we started working with the fisheries in our tribe, because we got a lot of tributaries up in Idaho. A lot of the salmon coming through here is from up there. And spring chinook's one of the main ones that everybody wants, the spring chinook. That comes back to our reservation up in Idaho, and I chase the salmon. I come down here February, help my cousins out here, and then I chase the spring salmon back up in Idaho, go up to the South Fork of the salmon, and those salmon travel 4,000 miles just to get back where they're at. Imagine that. Then go to the Sawtooth Mountains, another fish hatchery. But like I said, the tribes, Umatilla, the 4 tribes, are all working to get the salmon back. We're working at it. My son graduated in '93, and he was on a project for Coho, and he came down here, got that broodstock down here, Eagle Creek. We had a pretty good run coming back up there, but all of a sudden it just disappeared. I think that's when we had that hot water and low water and all that. We lost that, so we got to get it back. But stuff like that, it's a spiritual for us, Like when that Dalles Dam went in, the 4 main tribes, they were pretty upset, you know. But they all stuck together and did their thing, what they could. And right now, I'm seeing the fish still pretty tough to catch, you know. But there's a lot of variables nobody even looks, like politics everybody talks about, you know. You know, there's a lot of, you notice when down below the Bonneville, everybody goes in with hook and line, boom, that fish count drops. There's a lot of people in them boats out there, you know, catching a lot of fish. People don't realize what's going on. Then you go clear out to the ocean, got stuff out there, wiping it out, you know. Other than that, I just, I'm down here with a lot of my family, helping them out. I've been back and forth February, back up home, Idaho, chasing salmon up there. But then it's pretty sad up there too. So I can really come back here and catch a fall run, what I can. Can't fill no freezers yet, but trying to. But other than that, is the Nez Perce tribe, Umatilla, seem like to me, myself, Umatilla and Nez Perce seem to, you know, work together, you know. The other ones we got to kind of battle, you know, butt heads, you know, the other tribes. But other than that, I'm just happy to be here and talk about the treaty rights. And Pat did a lot of answering and questions for you guys, and that's pretty good. You know, like I said, I lived it. You know, I worked 23 years in that bullet factory, and then I've been here ever since. But I'd come down on weekends, you know, fish with my cousins down here. Then I'd go home because I'd be back to work Monday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But as for the fish, you know, we had a lot of our ancestors, you know. One Lakota chief says, the earth dies, we die, you know. And they knew a lot, even Chief Seattle, all these people, you know. These old Indians had these, they seen what was coming, you know, and then we're battling it right now. You know, we're trying to keep it for our families and for everybody. But it's a tough go, but I always see every year there's something going on. You know, like this year, real bad. A couple years ago, when was it? You had that record run, the fall run? About 4 years ago?
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah, man, that was crazy. There's so much fish, nobody could handle it. You know, they weren't ready for it. But see, there's a lot of these predictions, you know, these, oh no, there's not going to be nothing. They close the fisheries down. 2-3 weeks later, bam, a whole surge comes in. You know, they're out there, but whether they're coming through or not, maybe they'll come in a couple years, you know. But with the Japanese, I think they're running those 20-mile nets out there, taking all our fish too out there. They got to regulate them, they're coming right in. There's a lot of things taking our salmon, you know, taking all our fish. Well, back in the day they said they wiped out the whale, right? It's about the same thing. But other than that, I think Pat talked pretty much what we got going here, you know. But like you say, we're battling with the states all the time, seems like. And Nez Perce tribe, we're a sovereign nation, so we get to deal with them. They don't like to deal with us. They want to break our treaties, which they can't, you know. That was, our ancestors gave us our hunting and fishing rights exclusively. And that's clear out here, you know. They took our land, but then they couldn't take our hunting and fishing rights. So, but that's anything I can think of right now, unless you guys got some questions.
How much of your time do you spend fishing, typical day, and how much salmon do you catch?
Oh, you can't put numbers on that. No, it's yeah. Some days
What's
you,
a good day?
I haven't seen a good day forever. Well, you know, maybe that record run came in. You know, you get 1,000 pounds a day, man. That's nothing, you know, to feed your families. You know, you got a lot of big families, like she says. You know, I got all kinds of family down here I'm related to, and back home. You know, it just yeah.
Are you fishing now?
Yeah.
Did you
Yeah.
fish yesterday?
Yep.
Tell us what kind of fish you caught.
Caught some fall chinook. We got about maybe 700 pounds,
Did you?
but then,
What's the average size of these fish that you're catching now?
well, they're getting bigger. We got some 35 pounders. So the fall chinook, yeah,
They're averaging about 15 to 20 pounds.
yeah,
Yeah,
So when you get to 35 pounders,
that's a good one.
yeah.
What kind of fishing techniques are you doing?
Well, we're using gill nets right now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So then some of the families got some scaffolds down there by the Dells Dam. So we'll help them there too. As for me, I'm Nez Perce and I don't have no sights like a lot of these tribes do. We were just be able to drift, you know, that was our deal. We didn't have no designated areas.
Could you explain gill net? Yeah. You have the other method.
The gill nets, well, you got set gill nets, like you hook them onto somewhere on the shore and pull them on out, maybe 300 feet or so, and then set them. Just leave them set in the water. Then you got
Is it
drip.
multiple nets?
Yeah. Yeah, there's well, like that younger guy was talking about, families, they got sites and stuff. And I got a cousin of mine, he's got a bunch of sites up above the John Day Dam. So me and my son been helping him up there. So this depends on how you get the family sites, and then you inherit some, and I don't know how that goes, you know. But there's one place right below the Dells Dam. That little point comes out where the barges go through the dam. All that was designated Nez Perce, that whole section. Then they got a lot of intermarriages going and everything. So everybody's in there now, you know. So, but they had some spots for Nez Perces, but other than that, we were drifting. That's what we were doing. That's what I first started doing with some of my cousins in McCormick's, you know. We were drifting right at Preacher's Eddy, John Day Dam. But now there's, Yakima's got those big old trawlers. I think it's about 50 to 1 to us now. You know, me and my cousin and one of his cousins, we were out there pulling nets like this, drifting. And those guys got the big wheel drums, you know, nothing to it for them. But we were still doing it the old way. So, but other than that,
See, when we first started fishing, you know, like you said, Salilo, the majority of the fishermen fish with scaffolds, the platforms that are hanging over the water. There were some gill net fishermen during Salilo days, but most of the fishermen fished on the scaffolds. And then after 1957, when the Salilo was inundated, a lot of our fishermen went home and never came back. But we also had fishermen who stayed and wanted to go fishing. And so in the mid-60s, late 60s, fishermen started using gill nets because there was no place to put real platforms. And so we have platforms here in the or in the locks here, and below the Bridge of the Gods was not even open at that time. And so we started seeing scaffold fishermen coming up more, but after we opened up the Bridge of the Gods, then we started seeing more scaffolds below there. And the other thing too is we worked with the states on getting sanctuary changes, and so that's when scaffolds were then placed below the dams. I remember the first time my husband and my father-in-law, we went up to John Day Dam, or the Dalles Dam, and we weren't able to get up close enough, and so we had a pontoon that we pulled up with the boat, and we were going to put this pontoon above the islands, but below the dam, so we could fish off of those pontoons. Man, did we have enforcement coming down on us. They thought we were going to bomb the Dalles Dam.
Yeah.
And we had to assure them that we did not have bombs on that pontoon. But we had to move we weren't able to fish there. And so it wasn't until the tribes and the states were able to get together to recognize that, you know, we can fish closer to the dams than we have in the past. There are three different, we started with platforms, then we went to gill nets, then we went to hook and line more. Although I would say we went there, but we always had fishermen who did those things. But we are seeing more and more tribal members who are now hook and lining, who are now drift netting, those types of things, simply because the fish are coming back. In the 1980s, we had 5 days of fishing. That was the only season we had, and that was the fall season. It was the only season we had.
Yeah.
And so our fishermen were not able to make a living, to feed their families, to practice their culture. And so when we put, like I said, we worked hard to rebuild our salmon runs, and so we're seeing better returns than the 80s and the 90s. But at the same time, from a record run of 2014 to 2018, we're seeing less than 200,000 fish back to the Columbia River. Reason? We don't know yet.
Yeah.
Those are things that we're still working on.
Who are the Salida tribes associated with?
Oh, there were all kinds of tribes. The 4 tribes were recognized because we had the majority of the tribes there, and they were included in the negotiations for the settlement of the Dalles Dam. But we had a number of tribes. There was an island that was there that somebody from the coast, Washington coast, or California, or Montana, they could go fish there. We never denied them because of their importance to salmon to them as well. And so there was an island that was recognized as a rotating island.
So was there ever a specific group, just Salida?
We had Chief Tommy Thompson, who was the chief at the Salilo, and he pretty much regulated the Salilo during those days. And they also had a Fish and Wildlife committee that was made up of fishermen who settled site disputes or brought issues concerned to Chief Tommy Thompson, those types of things. But so that's how it operated a long time ago.
Yeah, I met Karen Jim. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, invited me to go to one of their fish ceremonials.
Yeah.
That was really fun. I just drove in there and I got to see the new housing.
Yeah, it's quite different.
Yeah.
And then that's the other thing that, the tribes are working on is when Bonneville Dam, when it was built, they replaced Bonneville, not once but twice.
Yeah.
When Arlington, or when John Day Dam was built, they replaced the whole town of Arlington and Boardman. When cities were wiped out by these dams, but they never, ever looked at the tribal people who lived on the Columbia River. And so our people, some of them went home, and like I said, never came back. Some of us stayed and said, this is our life. This is where we stayed. And some are living in these inland sites now that the salmon are coming back. And those inland sites are not necessarily built to
No.
be year-round homes. And so that's why we are now looking at what we call with the Corps of Engineers Columbia River housing. And we're trying to see, okay, where can we put homes for tribal members who live and fish along the Columbia River? There's a lot of work to be done on that one as well.
Well,
Yeah.
there was talk about the dam being breached at some point, I thought.
Yeah.
Snake River dams, oh
Yeah.
yeah. A lot of discussion
Well,
on that one.
Like I said, it's been proven, but they don't want to see it, you know.
Yeah.
I seen it. I seen them drop the water. The smokes went out. 4 years later, we had a good run. You know, common sense. You know, just slack water. Smokes don't know where they're at when they're in there.
One,
In 1959, I worked on a Columbia River project relating to this, and I was told, but it was never announced publicly, that one of the purposes of the Dalles Dam was to eliminate the Slaughter Falls fishery.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have documentation that was when Bonneville Dam was built. That was the goal. And in fact, when Bonneville Dam was being constructed
Well,
in
that's-
1934, oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I meant the Dalles for.
Oh,
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah, the same thing. In 1934, that was the same thing. The goal was to eliminate all the tribal fishermen up here and only have fishermen below Bonneville Dam. But it wasn't until the lower river fishermen and the tribes got together to demand that there be fish ladders over Bonneville. That's why we have fish ladders over Bonneville Dam.
Yeah, we heard that whoever built and organized the dams were not interested in the fishing at all. It
No.
was only for hydro, and it was
Yeah.
a big fight.
It's for jobs. It's for jobs. That's what
Yeah.
it was.
That's right. We had to fight for Bonneville Dam to get ladders, and then we had to fight to maintain those ladders through the rest of the dams.
Sam, I hear you pronouncing it Nez Perce, and I hear some other people pronouncing it Nez Pierce.
Yeah, that's just the way they said it. The real way is Nimipu. Yeah, that's where the French gave that Nez Perce, you know.
Nez Perce is a French word meaning
Yeah.
pierce.
Yeah,
Nez Perce.
yeah.
That's a pronunciation.
Yeah. But I got French in me on my mom's side.
Nez Perce did not pierce your nose, so.
Yeah,
Neighboring side.
yeah, it's never been happening, but that's the way they pronounced it. Yeah.
Well, thank you both very much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Yeah.